Welcome back. Thanks for staying with us. You're watching WION The World, and this is Speed News. Let's begin. The city government has announced that all parties have signed the first phase of a ceasefire and hostage release deal, which could potentially bring an end to the two-year conflict in Gaza. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's office confirmed the government's approval of the framework for the hostage release deal. Netanyahu described the development as momentous, stating that Hamas's release of captives would mark the end of the war. Russia has launched a massive attack on Ukraine's energy infrastructure, causing widespread power outages and water supply issues in the capital city of Kyiv. Mayor Vitaly Klitschko said the strikes left at least 9 people wounded in Kyiv, 5 of whom were taken to hospital. Residents have been urged to seek shelter immediately as Russia continues to target Kyiv with ballistic missiles and drones. Several journalists in the city have also reported hearing several powerful explosions and experiencing power outages. Ukrainian Energy Minister Svetlana Hishchuk confirmed that energy experts are working to minimize the damage and restore functionality as soon as safety conditions permit. The Russian Defense Ministry claims Ukrainian forces blew up an ammonia pipeline in eastern Ukraine's Donetsk region near the front line Vilahay of Rusin Yar to slow down Russian troops. The incident released ammonia residues, but no casualties were reported among Russian forces. A video released by the ministry shows a large vapor cloud coming out from the damaged pipeline. According to a producer in Russia using the pipeline, it ceased operations shortly after Moscow launched its 2022 offensive. Ukraine has not commented on the incident. Russian President Vladimir Putin stated that Israel has conveyed its commitment to pursuing a settlement in Gaza and avoiding confrontation with Iran. He emphasized that Moscow is maintaining open and trusting contacts with Israel, adding that Israel has asked it to convey its intentions to Iran, emphasizing its desire for a peaceful resolution. High-ranking officials from China and Russia have arrived in North Korea to attend the 80th anniversary celebrations of the ruling Workers' Party. Chinese Premier Li Qiang and Russian Security Council Deputy Chairman Dmitry Medvedev were welcomed with honor guards at Pyongyang International Airport.
Li Qiang 在调台。
The U.S. and Finland have signed a deal for the U.S. Coast Guard to acquire 11 icebreaker ships, with 4 built in Finland and 7 in the U.S. to bolster America's presence in the Arctic region. The agreement, worth approximately $6.1 billion, aims to strengthen U.S. national security and counter growing influence from China and Russia. Making the announcement, President Trump said that under the agreement, 4 of the ships would be built in Finland, while 7 would be built in the United States, helping to bolster U.S. shipbuilding jobs and expertise. U.S. President Donald Trump has suggested that Spain be expelled from NATO due to its low defense spending. Trump stated that Spain has no excuse for not meeting the alliance's defense spending target of 5% of GDP, which he engineered. Spain's Prime Minister Pedro Sánchez has refused to commit to the target, citing incompatibility with the country's welfare state and world vision. Trump has been critical of NATO members who don't meet their defense spending commitments. And his comments come after Spain was the most prominent holdout against the spending increase at a NATO summit in June. Venezuela has requested an emergency meeting of the UN Security Council to address what it perceives as escalating threats from the United States. The U.S. has deployed warships to the Caribbean as part of its efforts to combat drug trafficking, which Venezuela views as a veiled attempt at regime change. Belgian authorities have foiled a jihadist-inspired plot to attack Prime Minister and other politicians using drone-mounted explosives, arresting 3 young adults in Antwerp. The suspects were then investigated for attempted terrorist murder and participation in the activities of a terrorist group. Authorities found a 3D printer, an improvised explosive device, and a bag of steel balls during searches. Foreign Minister Maxime Prévost called the plot deeply shocking and thanked security services for preventing the attack. At least 9 people were injured in an attack on a police station in Robos in southern Colombia. The explosion, attributed to a dissident faction of the Revolutionary Armed Forces of Colombia, caused significant damage to nearby homes. The area, known for cocoa leaf plantations and its connection to the Buenaventura port, has been plagued by violence despite a 2016 peace deal aimed at ending the decades-long conflict. Authorities are working to restore order and provide support to those affected. Heavy gunfire broke out in downtown Port-au-Prince during a high-level meeting at the National Palace, attended by Haiti's Prime Minister and other officials. The meeting aimed to symbolize the government's retaking of the area from powerful gangs, which control up to 90% of the city. Despite the gunfire, no injuries or deaths were reported, but an armored vehicle was damaged. The U.S. and the Caribbean partners are supporting a new gang suppression force to help restore order. A 7.4 magnitude earthquake hit Mindanao in the Philippines, triggering a tsunami warning with predicted wave heights of over 1 meter above normal tides. The Philippine Institute of Volcanology and Seismology warned of destructive tsunami with life-threatening wave heights, and people in coastal areas were advised to evacuate immediately to higher ground or move further inland. A NASA research probe crash-landed on a Texas farm after being blown off course. The probe was launched from the Columbia Scientific Balloon Facility in New Mexico as part of a NASA research mission. After losing contact with engineers, the probe unexpectedly descended and landed on the farm, where a family spotted it and promptly notified authorities. where dinosaur fossils were discovered in southern Argentina's Rio Negro province. A team of paleontologists associated with Argentine Museum of Natural Sciences found the remains of a sauropod and a duck-billed dinosaur dating back 70 million years. The site offers a unique glimpse into the pre-extinction world of dinosaurs. And researchers hope the findings will shed more light on the region's ancient inhabitants.
Ahora es único, porque en esta localidad no...
In India, the Batla police have arrested 7 members of a gang allegedly involved in writing pro-Khalistan slogans at various locations, including the railway station and a college in Punjab. The accused were reportedly directed by Abhay Pratap Singh, alias Raju Harwal, a member of the banned outfits Babar Khalsa International and Sikhs for Justice, who is currently in Armenia and pay them money for the job. Now, the police have recovered 1 motorcycle used in the offense and are working to identify the arrest of other associates. This incident is part of a larger trend of increasing Khalistani separatist activities in Punjab and abroad. Former British Prime Minister Rishi Sunak has taken on senior advisory roles with Microsoft and AI startup Anthropic. Sunak, who resigned as Conservative Party leader after last year's election defeat, said his earnings from both roles will be donated to the Richmond Project, a charity he founded with his wife, Akshita Murthy. Both companies say the part-time internally focused role fully complies with the conditions set by the Advisory Committee on Business Appointments, or ACOBA, which oversees rules on new jobs for former ministers and senior civil servants. Sunak will be advising both companies on strategy and global geopolitical trends, but won't be involved in UK policy or lobbying. Meanwhile, according to the UK government rules, Sunak is barred from contacting UK officials on behalf of the firms. Sunak is also prohibited from lobbying for 2 years after leaving the ministerial office. The U.S. National Highway Traffic Safety Administration has opened an investigation into around 2.9 million Tesla vehicles equipped with its full self-driving system, following reports of traffic violations and crashes. The agency says full self-driving systems, or FSD, which requires drivers to pay attention and intervene if needed, has at times broken traffic laws, including running red lights and making wrong lane turns. So far, 58 FSD-related incidents have been reported, including 14 crashes and 23 injuries. 6 cases involved Teslas running red lights and colliding with other vehicles. The probe is a preliminary evaluation, the first step towards a possible recall if safety risks are confirmed. Google says more than 100 companies may have been affected by a major hacking campaign targeting Oracle's business software. The tech giant confirmed that mass amounts of customer data were stolen in an attack that may have started 3 months ago. Google's cybersecurity team believes a hacking group called CLUP is behind the breach. Now, CLUP is known for orchestrating large-scale attacks on third-party software providers. Now, Google said the hackers targeted Oracle's e-business suite of applications, which is used by Oracle clients to manage customers, suppliers, manufacturing, logistics, and other business processes. U.S. chocolate lovers are in for a pricey Halloween this year. A new report from Wells Fargo's Agri-Food Institute says cocoa prices have more than doubled since early 2024, driven by severe supply disruptions in West Africa, which produces about 70% of the world's cocoa. Heavy rains, crop diseases, and drought have slashed production in Ivory Coast and Ghana, leading to the biggest global cocoa deficit in more than 6 decades. With cocoa output expected to fall another 10% this season and new U.S. tariffs adding costs, manufacturers are shrinking product sizes and cutting seasonal lines. Experts warn prices will stay high through next year, advising consumers to compare retailers and consider lower cocoa or generic brands to save money. The yen is heading for its steepest weekly drop in a year, falling nearly 4% as markets doubt the Bank of Japan will raise rates again in 2025. Investors remain cautious after incoming Prime Minister Sanai Takaichi signaled support for loose fiscal policy, sparking concerns over political pressure on the BOJ. Meanwhile, the euro is sliding amid political turmoil in France, where President Macron struggles to form a new government and pass a budget. The dollar remains strong, supported by expectations of more Fed rate cuts and global uncertainty, while other major currencies like the OC and sterling hover near multi-month lows. Copper prices have declined following a surge driven by Chinese demand. The rally was fueled by China's increased imports, but concerns over global economic conditions and potential supply disruptions have led to a pullback in prices. Despite the recent dip, analysts remain cautious about the market's outlook, citing uncertainties in global demand and potential supply constraints. Investors are advised to monitor developments closely as the situation evolves. U.S. companies are expected to report slower profit growth in the third quarter of 2025, with S&P 500 earnings rising about 8.8% compared to over 13% in previous quarters. Rising tariffs and the ongoing government shutdown are weighing on growth. Despite this, investor optimism remains high, driven by excitement over AI advancements. Major tech firms continue to lead the market, pushing indexes to record highs. However, concerns persist over whether these high valuations are sustainable without strong returns from AI investments. India were handed their first defeat at the 2025 ICC Women's World Cup by South Africa. India's batters had a tough outing after being asked to bat first. However, Richa Ghosh's brilliant 94 helped the hosts recover and set a competitive target of 252. Like India, the Proteas lost regular top-order wickets and was down to 81-5 in 19.4 overs. But Nadine de Klerk hit a brilliant unbeaten 84 from 54 balls as South Africa produced a stunning comeback to beat co-hosts by 3 wickets.